Welcome into Hockey Sense, everybody. Coming to you live from Philadelphia. Actually, we're in New Jersey. We're at the Flyers practice facility. The Blues lose last night in overtime once again. I mean, just amazing that this continues to happen to the St. Louis Blues, but it is what it is. They're getting points, and, we'll see what happens, man. They're in the midst of the longest road trip of the season. It's interesting because they play the Islanders tomorrow, and the Islanders are coming off their longest road trip of the season as well. I think they had like 6 or 7 games on the road. We'll talk with Thomas Hickey coming up here shortly. We'll get into the Islanders. We'll talk a little Matthew Schaefer, everything that he's doing. But man, this was a tough one last night. I mean, Blues had a 2-0 lead. They lose the game in overtime. You can almost feel it coming. They give up the goal late in the second period, and then it is what it is. Couple things that I thought were a positive last night, if we want to focus on the positives. I thought Pavel Buchnevich, who's really had a rough go this season, it looked like that his game was maybe starting to round out into form. I mean, he played with played with Dalibor Dvorsky last night, also played with Braden Shen. I thought Dvorsky had maybe his best game passing the puck last night. He was dishing these little slip plays, little passes through the stick. He had a good stick in the game. Obviously he didn't score a goal. He's still looking for his first career assist in the NHL, if you can believe that. Hasn't had an assist yet, which is just crazy to me when you think about it. But it is what it is for Dalibor Dvorsky, but he's playing with more confidence. Now we're starting to see him take a little more high risk, make some more higher risk plays, and just do his thing. So, again, positive there for Dalibor Dvorsky. The Blues are still trying to round off their defense, correct the constant mistakes we're seeing that are leading to goals against, that are defensive zone breakdowns. And we saw that a couple of times again last night. Tyler Tucker was on the ice for a couple of goals. You can't just blame him. He and, Matthew Kessel just trying to figure things out, although he was on the ice with Justin Falk for the last goal that tied the game up late in the game, which you could maybe just feel it coming. We're kind of at that point now where you can almost just feel it coming. So you got to figure out a way to close things out. As always, Hockey Sense is brought to you by First Community, baby. Sign your son or daughter up today for Little Blues, the best program going. You get everything with Little Blues, including your skates and your stick, all the equipment. Nobody supports hockey in St. Louis better than Little Blues and First Community, who also put on the St. Louis Blues Hall of Fame as well. And you got that coming up in January, too, with Barrett Jackman going in and, obviously a number of other people going into the Blues Hall of Fame this season. Why not forgetting who else is going into the Blues Hall of Fame? I shouldn't be doing that. This is what happens when you just don't have a lot of sleep and you're here on this long road trip. The skies are gray. I know Al Arbor is going in, and Alexander Steen. You heard of him. He's also going in. So listen, it's tough sledding for the Blues. I felt like after the Toronto game that the team was maybe getting some confidence. They felt good about themselves, even though they lost the game. And it's a game they should have won when you consider who Toronto didn't have in the lineup. They didn't have Austin Matthews. They didn't have Matthew Nyes. They didn't have Chris Tanev. You got to find a way to win that game. They had a 2-1 lead in that one. Or maybe they tied it up 2-2 with Dvorsky's power play goal. Regardless, that game goes into overtime, and that's a winnable game for St. Louis as well. But last night in Philadelphia, certainly a winnable game, and the Blues just couldn't find a way to get it done. Jim Montgomery thought the best line in the game was Buchnevich and Dvorsky and Shen. I know Buchnevich has taken a lot of heat, hasn't had a even strength point in like months, but if he plays the way he did last night, then eventually the puck's going to start to go in, and he'll start putting up some points. Same with Jordan Kyrou. I know people don't like to hear it, but Jordan Kyrou, they don't like to admit it to themselves when Kyrou's playing good hockey. I thought he was the best player on the ice for both teams in Toronto, and then he had a really strong game again last night, man. He's getting a ton of chances and, shooting from areas of the ice where he typically scores from, where the puck would typically go in for a guy like Jordan Kyrou, whether it's overtime last night, beautiful pass from Robert Thomas, and he just couldn't elevate it. It was a great save by Dan Vladar. I mean, you got to give the other goalie credit too. He made an unbelievable save on that one. Um, but again, he had a couple right down the middle of the ice, the guts of the ice, and just ripped it, and just couldn't beat the goaltender with no screen in front, which is tough to do in the NHL. But it's something that we've seen Jordan Kyrou do routinely throughout the course of his NHL career. So, but I'm looking forward to getting into the Islanders game. You know, they lost the first 3 games of the season, and I think they're like 12-4-2 over the course of the last 18. They're like for real. People who don't think the Islanders are for real, they're absolutely for real. So again, Thomas Hickey, man, does a great job. You are familiar with his career and everything that he's done over the course of his career. Um, you know, it's a big Hockey Canada guy coming up. And now he's doing his thing doing broadcasting. So we'll talk with him coming up. No Jamal Mayers today, as he is out on assignment, working with the San Jose Sharks. So the Blues have 3 more games to go on this trip. They'll hit the Islanders and the Rangers and the Devils. I'm just curious in the comments what you see as the biggest issues for this team right now and what concerns you. I mean, they got a big power play goal last night. Justin Falk, this is the best I've seen Falk shoot the puck, really, you know, since he came to St. Louis. I mean, he was plus 41 a couple of years ago. He had a monster season for the Blues. But the way he's shooting the puck right now is just really impressive. So, you know, he's got some confidence going. It was a beautiful pass from Jake Neighbors on the power play goal. And it's listen, getting Neighbors back. It's amazing what happens when you get one player back in the lineup. What a difference that can make. And it certainly was yesterday. You know, you just notice his compete level, winning battles, the physicality, had a breakaway early in the game. I mean, he's just a strong offensive player who just kind of balances out the team. And, you know, he can play at a high level. I want to get you Thomas Hickey, exactly tell you where he was drafted. He was a high pick, I believe. I mean, he was like a household name. I know he didn't play for a long time. He was 4th overall, this guy. Played 456 games. Played the World Juniors for Canada twice. So a really good defenseman. I want to talk to him about his career as well. Get into that. Talk some Matthew Schaefer. Listen, the Blues are going through a hard time. It's just tough. Like, we know you're going to break it all down in terms of what's going on. People watch the games. You can kind of see with your own 2 eyes. It's just the 1 or 2 lapses mentally that you're having in the defensive end of the ice that are costing the team. And last night they get the 2-0 lead, and they just couldn't extend it. They couldn't get that 3rd goal. And once you're not able to extend it and get that 3rd goal, and then you allow the goal against late in the 2nd period, you just knew that it would be a little bit of an issue there, and it certainly was. So let's step aside. We'll talk with Thomas Hickey. We'll get into a number of different things with him. Looking forward to it on this edition of Hockey Sense, live from the Flyers practice facility. The Blues are about to skate in about 30 minutes or so I'll head over and watch practice, and then we'll hop on the bus and hop on the plane, I should say, and head over to Long Island. So looking forward to that. Hockey Sense brought to you by First Community, as always. Of course, their friends over there at Blue Note Roofing, David Novak, 314-920-5713. Call David Novak today. Get that free estimate. Roofing, siding, gutters, soffit fascia, whatever it is you're looking for. You can find it with David Novak. Talk some Blues hockey with him. He'd love to talk some hockey with you. David Novak, 314-920-5713. Of course, Dirt Cheap Fun Fun, your one-stop party shop, baby. Download the app today and get that delivery. Use the promo code BLUES. You won't pay anything for the delivery as long as you live within 10 miles of the closest store. And they've got stores all over the place. So check that out. Dirt Cheap Fun Fun. Don't sleep on the party goods. Are you having holiday parties? Are you having people over for Thanksgiving? Are you having bonfires? Everything you need, all the paper goods, everything else you're looking for, you can find it right there at Dirt Cheap Fun Fun, your one-stop party shop. Best selection of beer, wine, and booze anywhere. They've got that walk-in beer cooler. It's fantastic. It's unbelievable. Check it out. Love the support we get from the Wallace family and everybody over at Dirt Cheap Fun Fun, your one-stop party shop. Cross Country Mortgage, my boy Mark Cooper. Call him today, 314-713-4377. If you're a first responder, your mortgage is covered up to $525,000. How nice is that? Up to $525,000 in the event that you're critically injured, or even worse than that, in the line of duty. Guess what? First Community Mortgage and Mark Cooper are here to take care of you. one in every 35 mortgages in the country are closed with First Community or closed with Cross Country Mortgage. Again, 314-713-4377. Call Mark Cooper and call him today and let him take great care of you. They've got great deals from medical professionals. If you mention my name or mention Hockey Sense, you won't pay any fees when you close on your refinances, which, by the way, are at an all-time low over the course of the last 12 months. They haven't been lowered. You can refinance now in the 5s and the 6s, and you won't pay any fees. You're going to save thousands of dollars. I mean, really thousands of dollars, up to $2,000, I think you'll save without paying any of the appraisal fees and the closing costs and all that, just by mentioning Hockey Sense. So do that and do that today, 314-713-4377. Mark Cooper, baby, the one and only Mark Cooper with Cross Country Mortgage. All right, let's step aside. Thomas Hickey, let's talk some Islanders. Let's talk some NHL. We'll do that next here on Hockey Sense. Don't go anywhere. All right, back here on Hockey Sense. Great to have you with us, as always. Brought to you by First Community. Also, Lordo's Diamonds. Get that special someone, something special in your life at Lordo's Diamonds. It's Christmas season. And don't let anyone down. We know the best selection of engagement rings, Thomas Hickey. Are you married, by the way?
I am married, yeah.
So you're not looking for an engagement ring, but you could be looking for an upgrade. You could be looking for some jewelry. Lord, you never knows, man. Next time you come to St. Louis, I might have to take you in there to see Mike and Jimmy Lord, the best. They've been around for over 70 years. There's a reason for it. Again, right there in the heart of Ladue. You can't miss it. Right next to Truffles. 314-432-8008. Lordo's Diamonds, baby. All right, Thomas Hickey for a 4th overall pick, man. I mean, how old are you now, by the way?
I am 36 now. So that was, it's coming up on 20 years since that draft, which is hard to believe. But yeah, time flies by.
All right, so what year was that? Who went first overall in your draft?
2007 Patrick Kane draft. And he's still going strong.
I remember that draft. I was there, and I can still vividly remember Patrick Kane taking all the pictures in the lobby, all his family. He had a lot of people around. I mean, he was Showtime back then, Thomas. You know, I mean, when's the first time you played against him?
He was Showtime back then, but I remember that draft heading into that year, it was like, who's going to be the first pick? It was really a wide open draft, and probably 12, maybe 18 months before, it was like Angel Esposito. He's going to be the first overall pick. There was no question. And then as the season started, and that was Kane's first year that he went to London, and he was just dominant. And, probably by halfway through, everyone was like, looks like Patrick Kane. And then as summer hit, he was the consensus clear-cut guy. But I didn't get to play against him until I played in the NHL, because obviously he went right to Chicago. So it took a while, but he burst onto the scene late, at least back then when there wasn't as much, lead up to the draft and, scouting reports and stuff. So he was by far the right pick at number 1.
Yeah, I don't even know if I remember him in the World Juniors. I mean, some guys, they just go straight to the NHL at 18, and maybe they don't even ever play in the World Juniors. He played in it twice. I'd have to look that up, man. This is the problem when I do this show when I'm not back in St. Louis and I don't have my phone handy where I can just look stuff up, and I'm doing it on my phone. So I'm like always going off of memory, and then speaking out loud when I can't remember, Thomas. But I remember Patrick Kane from so many, Olympics and international stuff, but I don't know about World Juniors back in the day. I don't know. Some guys don't even play in, like Ryan O'Reilly never played in the World Juniors. You know what I mean? Because he was in the NHL at 18 and he's never played. So not many 17-year-olds floating around the World Junior Championship,
No, you're right. Yeah. And there's also some guys that for some reason get looked over too and end up having great NHL careers. But those were some of my best memories as a hockey player, definitely World Junior days.
All right. So you played on it twice, but you came into the league as the 4th overall pick. Like, you feel significant pressure? Like, you played over 450 games. Like, how do you look back at your career as a player, Thomas?
I look back with pride. Like, I'm really, really proud of my career, but it took me a while to detach from being the 4th overall pick. And, as it ended up, I never ended up playing for LA. It certainly was part of my journey. And, as any guy will tell you, there's ups and downs. Thankfully for me, there wasn't a lot of social media, even 20 years ago, 2007, but even the years following that. And it was a little bit different in the sense that defenseman, which I'm sure we'll talk about today, high pick defenseman, you weren't expected to have an impact right away. So there's a little bit of patience for me. But I had some really tough injuries shortly after being drafted, and other guys in LA took advantage of their opportunities and went on to win Stanley Cups and play a big part of those teams. So I don't hold any ill will, but I will say it was tough on me as time went on, having that label. And it wasn't until I sort of buried that and got over it. That's sort of when I made some headway and started playing some great hockey and ended up in the NHL. But it lingers. It's there. It was sort of like that elephant in the room in my head, that I tried to ignore and not pay any attention to. And then as time went on, and once I sort of acknowledged that um, this is actually hurting me more than it's helping me, the way I'm relating to it and the pressure that I put on myself, that's sort of when things turned around and, changed my perspective and how I approached every single day. But yeah, it was difficult. And I know so many guys deal with that and go through it themselves.
Yeah, I know. Andrew Ladd tells some great stories. We had him on, and being in the car with you and being sent down to the American League, and he told some great stories. So people should go check out this interview we had with Andrew Ladd on the Chemistry podcast. It was a great
Love Ladder.
conversation.
Love
Yeah,
Ladder.
we got to get you on there, buddy. We got to get you on there one of these days. Tell your story. I want to save your story for that
Got it.
for that conversation. But Matthew Schaefer, like, what makes him different? Like, he's dealing with the pressure. He's got the first overall label. And this guy is just like, he's just different, man. What's his story? What's this guy all about?
Uh, yeah. I mean, when you talk about feeling pressure, I don't know if he's ever felt pressure in his life. Like this kid, um, once the game starts, and honestly, it just seems once he shows up, he's just so sure of himself. And I don't think there's ever a doubt. And why would there be when you've got the skill set this kid does? He's been he's been sensational. And I couldn't believe it because obviously with him, if there's ever any reason to have doubt, it's because this kid only played 17 games last year in junior hockey and he was hurt. And so there wasn't a lot of tape or footage on him. And now I look back on it and, I've been saying this for, uh, you know, a couple months pretty much since I've seen him play. At the beginning of the year, I was like, you know what, he'll probably get his 9 games, see what he's made of because the Islanders aren't super deep on the back end and see what he's made of. And then, maybe he'll probably go back to junior. But we'll see these 9 games. Then I saw him play once in a preseason game and I was like, okay, this kid's not going back to junior. This kid's going to be here all year. And by, um, maybe by Thanksgiving, Christmas time, he's going to be like a top pair guy. And then I saw his first NHL game and I'm like, he's already their best defenseman. And now, with everything he's doing, you're going, hey, he's one of the better guys in the league right now. And he's only going to get better. But it's like the growth from his first preseason game to his first NHL game, and his first NHL game to his third NHL game. Then he scored. And then all of a sudden you look at it and you're like, where's the ceiling on this guy? I don't think he even knows. He's such a raw talent. But at the same time, like everyone that's listening has seen the highlights of Matthew Schaefer. You've seen him score goals. You've got 7 goals on the year as an 18-year-old, which is, what are we now? We're pre-Thanksgiving. Like it's the 21st of November. That's not what wows me and blows me away about this kid. It's everything else. He's got such a unique way of playing. And I think we are so quick, myself included, to try to compare him to somebody or try to pick someone's game and say, okay, Cale Makar, he was great as soon as he entered the league at 21 years old. So let's compare him to that. Well, Cale Makar deserves his own category. So does Quinn Hughes. Um, this kid's unique. He's got his own game. And what I love about him, like his stick detail, the way he defends as an 18-year-old, like he's got beat 2 or 3 times this year clean, but he never seems to make the same mistake twice. So he learns quickly, but his ability to defend is above average for an NHL defenseman. He's 18 years old. Obviously, what he can do with the puck and his skating ability, it's so far above NHL average. This guy blocks shots. This guy kills penalties. Um, this guy on the power play, where you think for a young kid that's got a lot of flair in his game, you'd expect that to be the area that you sort of maybe see him do too much. He's got this understanding on the power play that less is more, and he doesn't overhandle the puck, and he finds the open guy, and it's not flashy on the power play, but it's so effective. Like, I can't really describe what I'm seeing, because you'd think that all these little areas that he's really good in, those are the things that you figure he's going to take so much time to learn, and that's what's going to make him a great defenseman. The bedrock is there. He's got all of those things. So it's just a joy to watch. Like, I'm blessed and I'm lucky to do color for MSG and the Islanders, because that's part of me. I love the organization and the community, but knowing that I get to see this kid every single game, like, it can be an awful game. There's awful games every year for the Blues, or you're in Philly now for any team. But the silver lining is, like, I get to watch this kid play every single day.
Yeah, and you mentioned, like, it's easy to draw the comparisons to Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar and these kids that have come in recent years and taken the league by storm and play a style and a brand that we really haven't seen before and just be great from day one. But what separates him from those guys? I mean, is he really a direct comparison from Makar? Is that who you compare his game to? Like, who do you look at and say, he reminds me of this guy, or he's similar to this guy? Is there a player that you would key in on?
Nope, there's not. And that's I think what, I think that's what confuses me, because I'll see any other player, a young player, and I go, he's got a little bit of this guy and a little bit of this guy. With Schaefer, I don't have a comparison for him. And that's sort of what I'm speaking to. It's such a unique game, and you have to. I mean, I was talking to scouts leading up to the draft, just sort of get a feel of, like, there's a little package on him. All I've seen is this. Like, can you explain him to me? And a couple people that I reached out to were sort of like, they were explaining this concept almost, and I'm like, okay, so he can skate like he's an unbelievable skater, like a Todd McCullough. I'm just saying this. I'm not comparing him. He was like, he's can skate like Paul Coffey a little bit. He wasn't comparing his game to it, but that's someone that popped out to him. Well, Paul Coffey hasn't played for a really long time, so that just goes to show that there's this unique element to his game. But outside of that, it's unique to him. So I don't really have a comparison, but the easy thing when someone is producing like he is and sees the ice really well, yeah, what a compliment it would be to say Hughes or Makar. And there's elements, but overall, it's just such a tough game to pin down, because you haven't seen someone that plays hockey like this before, and you certainly haven't seen it in the NHL at this age. The way he thinks the game, the areas of the ice that he excels in, it's doesn't have a comparison right now.
All right, so listen, I got to give the Islanders credit because they're letting them play too. They're not like easing him in. I mean, this guy played over 24 minutes last night in a shutout victory over the Red Wings. So who's that coming from? Is that coming from the general manager, or is that truly Patrick Waugh? Because it seems like a little anti-Patrick Waugh that this early of the season that he's going to hand the keys over to an 18-year-old and say, hey, go ahead and take it and be our driver on the back end, but he's done that. So I got to give the organization a ton of credit for believing in this kid and just letting him do his thing, because he's playing with a ton of confidence, but you don't play with confidence unless there's people that are allowing you to, kind of be yourself behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think it's a top-down thing. Obviously, when Matthew Darche drafted him, I think the message right away was, we have no plan. Whatever this kid does is going to dictate what our plan with him is. And at that time, funny, we're talking about it, like, is he going to go back to junior, or is he going to play in the NHL? They just let him decide. And I think they empowered Schaefer. And I think Darche understands the person, because all the things I'm saying about the player, I don't think you can really say about the player until you've seen the person. And
Mhm.
he's so unique off the ice as well. Like his confidence, there's an aura around him, um, which is, for an 18-year-old kid, but he was born that way, or maybe he's developed this. Um, and I think they knew what they had, and just understood he's going to earn everything he gets. We're not going to come out and say anything's being given to him, but just trusting the person that they drafted. So full credit to Darsh, and with Patrick Waugh, 100%, passing marks um, with high numbers to what Waugh's done with him. Early on in the year, it was the same thing. They didn't give him the first power play reps throughout training camp. And at the beginning of the season, um, they sort of put whatever was on his plate enough to see if he could handle it, and then to give him more and more. And already, and you know, a handful of occasions that's meant playing 25, 26 minutes a night. But yeah, Patrick Waugh, I think, one of his greatest strengths is just enabling his players and letting them play to their strengths and not complicating it. And certainly with Schaefer, I think that's been his attitude, and it's obviously had great rewards with the way Patrick approaches him.
Yeah. And listen, I think there's an element of surprise because of what you said. We didn't see him play much in the World Juniors because of the injury, and we didn't see him play a whole lot in his draft year because of the injury. Um, Now he's getting Hockey Canada talk for the Olympics. I mean, do you really buy into that? Like, could you see him making the team? I mean, Doug Armstrong's on the trip right now here with the Blues. I mean, he's the general manager of the team, but like, could you see him cracking that roster, like being a guy who's in the lineup for Hockey Canada in a few months in the Olympics?
Yeah, I could. Remember this conversation sort of came up about 5 weeks ago, and I was like, I don't want to touch that because it's not fair. And he's only
Yeah,
played
right.
10 games in the NHL. Maybe there's going to be a drop off, and um, just really not a fair thing to put out there. And as time's gone on, my stance is he should absolutely be in consideration without question. And when you look at it, like they get to take 8 guys. Um, I'm not saying he should or should not make it because I think they're returning a pretty good group as well. Um, the moment will not be too big for him. That's
Mm,
one thing I'm sure of. And I think when you look at a stage like that, um, your biggest worry was we don't want to put this kid in a bad spot. He's great and talented, but maybe it's too much too soon, or the moment's not going to be too big for him. I know that from watching him already and seeing the way he carries himself. Um, so that's a factor in my mind that you don't have to deal with. This kid's not going to be, oh my God, I'm playing with Sidney Crosby and Nate McKinnon and Kale McCarr, and I'm playing against the best in the world, and there's all this pressure. Um, Non-factor. That just brings out the better side of Matthew Schaefer. Um, when you talk about having 6 guys playing in that first game, you know, the fact that Canada's left side is pretty strong. Um, you think of the likes of Morrissey and Taves and a guy like Sanheim that plays both sides. And then Shea Theodore, which last week when the Islanders played Vegas, like those two went head to head. Theodore was outstanding. Um, I think less about him bumping someone out and more about him being there and knowing that you've got this wild card that you could throw in if you do decide to put him on the roster. You could throw him in, and he is a wild card, and not a wild card. And you don't know what you're. It's sorry, he's an ace up your sleeve. Like you have this guy. He's powerful. He's waiting. If you do pick him, so I won't be bummed out or think it's a bad decision if he's not on there because in Canada so many great defensemen. I also wonder how good is Matthew Schaefer's game going to be in February as we sit here in March, and I'm talking about his incremental improvements game by game, month by month. Um, he's making a good case, and I'm glad he's in consideration.
yeah. And listen, the World Cup's 2 years from now. I mean, he continues on this pace. I mean, he's a lock to make that team 2 years from now. So it's just a matter of, hey, how quickly do you want to get him in? I look at Celebrini, the same type of situation. Celebrini, to me, would have to play his way off the roster based on the way that he's played so far this season. And it's like, hey, just get it going with these guys. The next wave of Canadian players, these guys are going to be the face of Hockey Canada for years to come with Cale Makar and some of these other guys who are still young. So I mean, it wouldn't bother me at all. I love the conversation, and I love the fact that he's played his way into that, and he's been through so much personal adversity. I think that's what leads to maybe his, I don't think anything's too big for him because he's been through so much that I think he just knows how to handle whatever is thrown his way. So, what about Patrick Waugh? Like, how much confidence is he given to this team right now?
Yeah, I said, he sort of enables his players, and that might be one of his biggest strengths. And it's a strange team in the sense, like, stylistically, contradictory almost. Like, they this season in particular, um, they're very creative, especially after the rush. Like, they don't dump the puck in. And if you would have told me that at the start of the year, I'm like, if this team thinks that they can just come up the ice all night and make plays at the offensive blue line, it's going to be a long season because they're going to give up so much going the other way. Um, Not necessarily the case. Like, they do give up far too much, but over the past, since this road trip started, really, um, they've been a lot wiser in picking their spots and defended much better. Because if you look at metrics, for much of the season, they were the very bottom of all the defensive metrics and really gave up a ton of quality scoring chances. But at the same time, they would get a lot themselves. They generate so much off the rush. And when you actually look at this forward group, you're like, it's pretty steady, pretty stable.
Yeah, yeah.
Mix of veterans and some skill, like Max Shabanoff, who had, it's outstanding game last night, this Russian import. Patrick allows his guys to play to their game, and he sort of um, he enables these guys to do what makes them good. So I give Patrick a lot of credit, and I think, especially as we've seen the last couple weeks of Islander hockey and the excitement and the buzz, and uh, just an incredible road trip that they went on. Um, I can see the areas that were a little bit weaker start of the year improving, especially defensively, making it easier for their goaltenders. But they've got great saves as well, and I think um, as much as Patrick stays away from the goaltender conversation, which is hard to believe because he's Patrick Waugh and he's, the greatest, one of, if not the greatest goaltender of all time. He sort of stays away from that, but you got to figure. I think it's rubbing off on his goaltenders as well. They look extremely confident.
Yeah, no doubt. So he's not the goalie coach, right?
No, he often won't touch it, and you wonder if part of it is he's got great respect for the fact that there's goaltending coaches that are professionals and make a career out of it. Um, and the last couple of years, his take has sort of been, you know, that's the goaltending coach's job. He'll deal with it. It's not my job. I coach the team. I don't coach the individual. And we've seen him over the past few weeks um, working with Ilya Sorokin on, I think, less technical stuff and probably more mindset stuff. Um, and I think that's benefited a lot. But I think I don't want to speak for him. I think he views the position um, less about the technical aspect of an Ilya Sorokin and more about the presence and what he's seeing when he looks at the guy, not how the pucks are going past him, what his eye sees, and no one sees it better. And I think, I think Sorokin's made huge improvements on just you look at his body language and you're like, that guy looks like he's going to be tough to beat tonight. Whereas other times when he's struggling, you look at him and didn't quite look like the standard that he
Mm,
set. I think Patrick's been a big part of that.
yeah. I couldn't imagine being a goalie coach under Patrick Waugh. I'd be like the power
That'd
play
be
coach under Wayne
that'd be tough.
Gretzky. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
no
like,
kidding. Yeah.
what'd you think of the Rantanen hit?
Um, it was really unfortunate. I don't think there was intent. At the same time, it's an extremely dangerous spot to put a hit or body contact on somebody. Um, I think if there's 2 minutes left in the hockey game, it's not sort of a desperation time. I don't think that play happens, but I think you get into the final moments of a game, um, with a goaltender pulled and you become a little bit more reckless and you lose yourself. It was an awful hit. I don't think it's intentional, but the Islanders, we'll see how long Romanov's going to be out, but it was ugly. And I hate to see a guy in that much notable visible pain. Um, and what transpired after with Patrick yelling at him. I mean, that's the Patrick Waugh that I'm not always a big fan of, like the coach player interaction from opposite teams, but that's the fire that his group is playing with right now. So it's contagious.
I know, I love it. And I listen, I've seen Patrick Waugh and Ken Hitchcock go at it when he was coaching in Colorado. I mean, years ago. I mean, it's just like that's who he is, though. He's not being phony or whatever.
No,
He's being
no,
pretty
not at all.
authentic to his personality. So with Patrick Waugh, you kind of when you see that, you're like, okay, yeah, this is Patty Waugh. So, and again, I would hope that his team would kind of feed off of that emotion. I got to ask you one question real quick. My boy Scotty Mayfield, St. Louis kid, he's like leading the league in like penalty minutes. Like, did he had a couple of like tens? Like, what's going on here that he's leading the league in penalty minutes?
Yeah, a couple fights, which is an area I think in the past, Scotty's proved he can fight. He's not a fighter, but early
Yeah.
in his career to earn a job in the NHL, that needed to be shown that it could be part of his game. Um, and this year, with the intensity of these games, the physicality and the Schaefer effect, the fact um, that Matthew Schaefer's a target and finds himself in the middle of a lot of scrums and storylines because he's playing so many minutes and he's um, putting other people in bad spots and he's created a lot of attention. Part of that with Scotty is answering the bell. And if someone wants to take an extra shot at him, um, whether it be Scott or one of his teammates, there's sort of like this pack mentality. So I think we'll even out. Scotty's not going to be up there in penalty minutes at the end of the year, but there's a physical presence inside of it with the scrappiness and standing up for his teammates that proud of Scotty. He's a logical guy to do that, but it takes a lot of guts to do that, and he's certainly capable, but he stepped up in those situations.
Yeah. Well, you got to find a way to stay in the lineup too. You know what I mean? So, I mean, he gets that. Hey, real quick, who's Schaefer playing with? Like, who's been his partner most of the season?
It was Mayfield at the beginning, and now it's shifted, and he's played with Ryan Pollock. The Islanders, it's about it was about 3 weeks ago, changed every single line and changed every single D pair, and what that's done is put Pollock with Schaefer now, but it was Mayfield at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I'm interested to see tomorrow afternoon what the fans look like. How many fans show up? Do UBS. Like, I hope they start supporting this team, and I would imagine they will. I mean, they're not that they haven't, but again, when you haven't had a ton of team success, I can kind of get it. But this team, they look like they're for. Are they for real? Like, I mean, is this like what we're going to see from the Islanders when we get into March and April?
Well, I said at the beginning of the year, I think that this is a team come March that's going to be knocking on a wild card spot, whether they're third in their division and looking to hold on to that spot with a couple card teams behind them, or vice versa, and be a couple points out and wanting to claw back in. I try not to get uh, too caught up with the recency bias of them playing great hockey, but they do look like a different team. And I shouldn't say different team. It looks like there's been some big growth, and
Hmm.
growth is sustainable. A hot streak sometimes isn't, right? Sometimes you just win 5 of 6 and maybe you get a little bit lucky. The way that they've been winning, um, some thrilling fashion, comebacks, they've dealt with a lot of adversity. So the growth there leads me to believe that um, they'll absolutely be right in that spot. Are they for real? Currently, yeah, they're for real.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done it the hard way. They beat really good teams on this road trip, and they've tightened things up defensively. They can score. They've got a lot of guys like Horvat's having an incredible season, and I think that
Unbelievable.
that I admired about Islanders fans always is if you're playing good, they're going to come, they're going to support you, they're going to show up. And if you're not playing good, uh, you're going to know that and you're going to understand it. And I think tomorrow at UBS is going to be a fun one, especially being an afternoon game, families involved, and have a lot of people in there. Everyone's excited. People have been paying attention, and now I think fans are going. We've been watching you guys as you were on the road. Like we need to get in the building and see that up close because it's a ton of fun to watch. Can't imagine being in person. So I think that's going to be the case tomorrow.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And Horvat's got 25 points, something like that. I mean, it's just crazy. Like he should be on Hockey Canada's radar too. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, this guy,
Absolutely should.
like he what you know years ago, not that long ago, but before he came to New York, when he was such a big name and a big presence in a big market there in Vancouver. So I think we're starting to see him, kind of return to that brand, if you will, that he had created for himself in Vancouver. So
He's at the peak of his powers right now. This is the best I've seen Bo Horvat play, not on a hot streak since the beginning of the season. And I think he had 30 before he got traded, or he was
Mhm.
right around that 30 goal mark when he got traded to the Islanders.
Yeah,
He's been really good, but with Brock Nelson leaving last year, it was a great 1-2 punch. Nelson, Horvat. Without Nelson, he is the guy, and he's killing penalties. Obviously, great on the power play. But he's driven play. It's not just the production. Like you'll get to see him tomorrow, Andy. He's been the total package for this team. 200-foot, competes on every single play. He's a joy to watch, and I'd say, you think of Bo Horvat from Vancouver, captain. That last season there, you think that maybe is his best hockey he's played. It's this year. That's what we're
yeah,
seeing from him.
yeah. I love it. It's just a different feel all around with the Islanders. I mean, Lou Lamoriello left. I think Matthew Darcy's done a great job. You got Matty Martin now in the front office. You just have a little bit of a different feel, and Patty Waz getting emotional and going crazy. You got Matthew Schaefer, and you still have Matty Barzal and all these other guys. He didn't even play a game a few weeks. He was like a healthy scratch, missing a meeting or whatever it was, or being late. So I don't know, man. The Islanders are very intriguing. Hey, before I let you go, wait, what else is like intriguing you around the NHL? Anything else that you're like, a storyline or something that you're gravitated towards right now that you're really enjoying watching? Is it the young kids? Is it the resurgence of the Pittsburgh Penguins and their future Hall of Famers playing well? Like, what is it that you're enjoying right now about the NHL? Like, if they're on, you're watching.
That's hard to say. I'm certainly not enjoying the injuries, but there's been so many. So that's like a notable thing
Yeah,
for me.
yeah.
I think that I just think that the Eastern Conference being the mess that it is, um, a lot of it is going to come down to the teams that are sort of strong mentally because you have a bad week, you're in last place.
Mm,
And you're looking up, you're like, oh, we're in last place. You have a good week, all of a sudden you go from being outside the playoff picture to like maybe leading your division,
mhm.
leading the conference. It's insane. So I'm enjoying the fact that it's so tight right now. And I know that that's not the most fun or enjoyable thing. Eventually it's going to separate. Um, but I just love the fact that you can you can have a bad week and or maybe a bad stretch of hockey and all of a sudden it's like, oh no, this is not our year. Then all of a sudden the team strings it together for a week or a week and a half and you've got everyone going like, oh, these guys are a playoff team. They're really good. I wonder who can balance that as we get through the holiday season, into January before that break, things will start to separate, but the teams that can sort of stick with it and not pay too much attention. It's 82 games. It's a long season. We're only a quarter of the way, but it's been fun to see how things shift in the Eastern Conference standings.
You look like you could still play. I mean, do you skate still? Do you get around? Like, you have kids to play? Like, what do you have going on hockey-wise?
Yeah, hockey wise, just busy. I don't play. In I'd like to skate more, but I always find I'm too busy. In the season when you're traveling and commitments with MSG and with Amazon Prime as well because we do a Monday show. So there's really not much time for me to get out. Usually I want to rest from all the travel. I stay in shape. I don't play. I played once. I played an alumni game 2 years ago. It's the only time I put my gear on since I retired. and I'm playing in one next month. The Shoresy TV show, they're sort of doing a
Oh
tour
yeah.
against alumni groups. I'm gonna play in that, so I'll be like another 2 years rusty. I love it, but when I want to play in the summer, I just rather play golf. Um, I get so much of the game. I love it so much, but that's one thing I haven't done a lot. But I think the day will come that I'll be itching to. But right now, I'm quite content with the schedule I have.
All right, last thing for you. How'd you get into broadcasting? Who brought that to the table for you? Who said, "Hey, maybe you
Uh,
should look with us"?
Kimber Auerbach,
Oh
he
yeah.
the Islanders public relations and everything person for the Islanders, and
Great guy.
Kimber.
Great guy. Yeah, I know him since he was at USA Hockey back in the day.
Yeah, and Kimber's actually go to the Olympics with Team USA. He does an incredible job, and it was so I guess it was 3 summers ago. My contract was up at the Islanders. I was still training at the facility, and I was looking to latch on somewhere else. And he said, "Hey, there's an opening with MSG, just so you know." And I said to Kimber, like, "Oh, sweet, yeah, I could be interested in that, and someday." Not really understanding that he's like, they want someone for next season. Like, if you're not going to play, maybe you should do that. And I was like, yeah, I'll let you know if I'm interested. And sure enough, like 3 months later, I went on a camp PTO to New Jersey, didn't make it. And the next day I was like, I'll just pick up the phone and call. But if Kimber didn't put it on my radar, um, might have missed that opportunity. These are fun, coveted jobs. And sometimes someone gets one and they can have it for 30 years, right? And you don't get your foot in. And obviously, it was the perfect um, relationship that I have with the Islanders, where our fans love Islanders and former Islanders. So there was a fit there. But I'm just grateful Kimber put it on my radar, and thankfully, I was wise enough to know when time was up and give a call right away. And I've been loving every minute of it since then.
Yeah, well, you're doing a great job, man. You working tomorrow?
I'll be there tomorrow. Yep.
Afternoon hockey, man. I love that. So
It's a
the
rare
Wednesday.
3:30 start. Yeah, there's threes, there's twos, there's one 3:30. I think that might be a new one for me, but I don't know about you. I mean, as a broadcaster, give me afternoon hockey all day. I love an afternoon
All
game.
day.
Yeah, get my work done today, and then you just show up tomorrow and see what happens.
I know, I love it. All right, I'm looking forward to a good game tomorrow, man. The Blues are playing better as well. They can't listen. They've had a rough go, but they're getting points almost every single night. They're having trouble just kind of getting that next goal. You know what I mean? Like they're getting a lead, seeing it evaporate, and they just can't extend it during the course of the game, and then having some late game meltdowns. And they haven't won yet in overtime either. I think they had 6 games go past regulation, and they haven't won any of them, shootouts and overtime games. So um, they need a win. So I'd say good luck tomorrow, but I'm hoping that they can find a way to get 2 points, because they need it. They're in the midst of the longest road trip of the season. This is going to be game 3 of 5 tomorrow.
Well, you know what? It's good luck to both teams. May the best team win. That's the way I approach every game. And we'll see with St. Louis. Like y- it's it's the opposites, right? You get a team that just got back from a really long trip out west, and we often hear about this. And they did work their way back east, finishing up in Detroit. But
Mhm.
for some reason, as a player, I can tell you that first game back is always different. It's weird. You've got back to your family routine, which is great and important, but you show up at the rink and it's a different feeling when you rode this momentum on the road. So, for the Blues, it's maybe an opportunity there, but at the same time, it's a team that I've just talked about playing the best hockey I've seen them play in a really long
Mhm.
time. So, I'll make for a great matchup tomorrow.
Yeah, it'll be a challenge for sure. Thomas, thank you so much, man. Keep up the great work. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and we'll do this again soon.
All right. Yeah. Pop by. See me tomorrow, Andy. Take care.
Okay. You
Thank
got it,
you.
Thomas. Take care. Yeah, that was Thomas Hickey, man. Great stuff from him. I mean, just a really talented broadcaster, and you're seeing him just quickly evolve into being one of the top young commentators in the game today. And I'm looking forward to seeing this Islanders team, man. I mean, there's a lot of buzz about the Islanders. They're playing with a ton of confidence, but the Blues, they got to find it, man. They just got to find a way to get one win and then try to build off of that. And, they've gotten points in both games so far on this road trip. They haven't played bad hockey. And if you're watching the Blues from a lens of reality, yeah, they've made some mistakes, and yeah, there's been some breakdowns, but there have been some positives, and I think more positives than maybe what we've seen from this team throughout the course of the season. And their goaltending's been spectacular with Joel Hofer. I mean, this guy was so good last night, deserved the victory. But it is what it is. You know, I mean, you just got to find a way to get that next goal. The Blues had so many chances to get that third goal, and they just couldn't do it. And you saw that 2-0 lead evaporate and then ultimately lose in overtime. And I want to talk to Jim Montgomery about that today, just in terms of what the philosophy is or what he wants to see from his team in overtime. Because I have asked him before, and I know he wants his team to be a little more aggressive than what we've seen from this team in overtime so far, where he wants to see them attacking the net. And we saw a little more of that in the game in Philadelphia versus what we saw in Toronto. In Toronto, they weren't aggressive at all. They didn't attack the net. And they didn't have a shot on goal. And they were almost way too passive and too conservative. But you're on the road, you're playing Eastern Conference teams. Just go for it and try to get that second point, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. But that was a good point. I mean, they're coming off of a 6 or 7 game road trip, whatever it is. And now they had that first game back home. You always hear from players, man, the first game back home after a long road trip is always a difficult one. So we'll see if that's the case tomorrow. And you need guys to get going, right? Dvorsky's playing some good hockey right now, but you need Buchnevich, you need Kyrou. And Kyrou's played some great hockey. His best hockey of the season. But again, you judge top 6 forwards, you judge great players based on production. So are you producing? And if you are producing, then obviously you're going to get that recognition. But if you're not producing, and then it's always, hey, we need more, even though he's playing some great hockey and skating and handling the puck as well as I've ever seen Kyrou handle the puck. In the past, he's always been good with the puck on a stick, and obviously, he's got the numbers to back it up. But you see him bobble the puck occasionally, mishandle it. Like, I'm not seeing that from him right now. Like, he's handling the puck with as much confidence as we've seen from him all season. So you hope that continues. And, we'll see what the line combinations look like heading into the game against the Islanders. And then obviously you've got a couple more games left on this trip after tomorrow afternoon with the Rangers and the Devils. So looking forward to it. Hope you enjoyed this edition of Hockey Sense. Jamal Mayers won't join us today. He's on assignment, like I said. Jamal is always brought to you by Spas and More. Check that out. He's got the Dobbs Tires and Auto Centers and all his great sponsors. So we appreciate Jamal for joining us each and every week. And next week we'll be back in the studio. Or actually, next week we won't have a show because next week is Thanksgiving, and I believe we are off next Friday. So I don't think I'll talk to you again until 2 weeks from now. But again, First Community brings us Hockey Sense each and every week. Check that out. They've got so many great different types of programs going on right now in terms of saving money. They've got great programs to save money for the holidays, for summer vacations. Call a branch nearest you, go in, talk to somebody, and see how you can maybe set up a savings account or one of these different savings accounts they have for the holidays that they promote all the time. They do great work with everybody, and nobody supports hockey in St. Louis better or more than First Community. So check out First Community and do that today. Of course, our friends over at Kirkwood Fence, check them out. Kirkwood Fence, find a fence that works for you. Get one of their experts out today and let them, kind of give you an idea of what the perfect fence would be for your property. And they've got so many different fences to choose from. Find the one that works for you and do that today over there at Kirkwood Fence, man. They are the best in the business. Hackett Security. When I'm traveling, I feel comfort knowing that my house is secure with Hackett Security. They've got everything. And, they secure a lot of government programs too. So a lot of government officials, top secret, sealed documents are secure with Hackett Security. If you need security for your business, or if you're a government official, or for your residents, do it with Hackett Security and do it today. All right, this does it for this edition of Hockey Sense from New Jersey at the Flyers practice facility, as you can see behind me. A little bit of a different show, but occasionally I'm going to be on the road and we'll have shows like this. I'm looking forward to seeing Matthew Schaefer of the New York Islanders. I hope you didn't mind a lot of the Islanders talk today. They're a hot ticket right now in the NHL, and looking forward to seeing them play tomorrow. We just saw Toronto. Everyone's speculating about trades for the Blues. I don't know what's going to happen. You've got the Texier situation right now, which is a little bit of a weird one. We'll see how that plays out with Alexander Texier. But what that tells you is that Dalibor Dvorsky isn't going anywhere. He's going to be here for the rest of the season, it looks like, unless he really hits a wall at some point, which you just can't forecast, and you don't see that happening with him. He's gaining confidence. I loved his one-timer against the Maple Leafs. I mean, just a great shot on the power play. The Blues power play now is like 7th in the league. So, again, they just got to get the goals against down, which we've seen over the course of the last couple of games. They're not allowing as many goals as they were earlier in the year. The goaltending is getting better. So, we'll see what happens here against the Islanders tomorrow. I got a good feel. I had a good feel against the Flyers yesterday. I thought they were going to come out of that with 2 points. So that was a tough one. But the best part about the NHL is you get to turn the page and play another game. So looking forward to the game tomorrow against the Islanders. All right, for everybody affiliated with Half Coast Studios, for Jamal Maris who's down on sign, and for Thomas Hickey who joined us, for Aiden back in studio, I'm Andy Strickland, reminding you to keep your head up and your stick on the ice. Live from Philly. Actually, we're in New Jersey. On our way to New York. The road trip continues. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Have a happy Thanksgiving. And thanks for supporting Hockey Sense as always. Have a great weekend, St. Louis.